Hello and a very warm welcome to Rubrik Presents ET Studios CXO Strategies Building a Cyber Resilient Organization for the Future in association with ETCSO. I'm your host Himanshi Tiwari. Now, beyond simply relying on technology now more than ever before in the human history, the global trends are putting unique pressure on all of our cyber resilience. Today, businesses have a lot to lose from data loss more than ever before, which is why the conversation we are having today becomes imperative. To dive deep into this topic, we are joined in by Aditya Agarwal, EVP Digital Enterprise for Maruti Suzuki India, and Abhilash Purushottam, Vice President and General Manager for Asia at Rubrik. Gentlemen, it's a pleasure to have you both here. All right, Abhilash, I would like to start from you about the difference between cyber resilience and cyber security.
It's a pleasure to be here. Cyber resilience is a pretty nascent concept that has been evolving in the last 3 to 5 years. Traditionally, businesses always looked at data from a disaster recovery protection standpoint. So we built what we call walls to protect the data, which is the traditional cyber security. We built walls to prevent thieves from entering into our house and protect the data. And then the thieves became smarter, we built bigger walls. Right? So traditional cybersecurity went on investing into preventing attacks. And then came a point in the early 2010s when attackers started penetrating those walls. And the concept of assume breach or zero trust became prevalent, that you don't trust anybody. You always operate in a mode that you assume breach. In a world where there is assume breach, you not only need to protect or prevent, but you also need to have the ability for resilience, where you will need to recover from attacks because cyber attacks in today's world are inevitable. So when you realize that cyber attacks are inevitable, you need to focus on resilience as much as protection or prevention, which is what the traditional cybersecurity was all.
All right, then I would come to you, Aditya. How do you see the awareness of cyber resilience versus cyber security in the market?
So cybersecurity, as Abhilash said, has been here for some time. People understand what it is about, and we've been focusing on protection, building higher walls, trying to ensure that we protect ourselves. But then, in the fast evolving world today, it is very difficult, to prevent an attack from happening. There are new attackers with new technologies, with their new game, and they are just, they're just there. So it becomes very important that we start building houses that are not only resistant to penetration but also resistant about ability to come back. So how fast can we really come back and start our business again? And this concept is fairly new. So while most of the world is very familiar with what a cyber attack is, how do we protect ourselves, but looking at cyber resilience, still a very new concept. And especially from a standpoint of business continuity planning, this is becoming a fast, with more and more data coming in. Our lives are dependent on data today, and we really, anything we do, it is to do with data. All decisions are based on data. So it becomes very important for business continuity planning to really think about, how do we build resilience in the organization. Evolving, we're not there, but yes, very much known.
Yeah, so I mean, cybersecurity means having those tools and technologies, but resilience is basically assuming that there will be a breach and being resilient for that, right? In the last couple of years, there have been a lot of ransomware attacks and there has been a rapid increase in those attacks. So according to you, what other issues are plaguing the market right now? Maybe we can start with you.
Yeah, ransomware is an interesting phenomenon, right? It started off in 2015, 2016 with the big Colonial Pipe attack where FBI went in and made cyber crime a federal crime. Ransomware, to Aditya's point earlier, clearly attacks the data of organization. The idea of cyber criminals from a ransomware attack is they go after what is most valuable to an organization so that they can extort money. Cyber criminals are purely motivated by money. So where do they go after? They go after businesses that have got some critical data, PII data, sensitive data, trade secrets, etc., so that they can extort money. We used to protect data, our crown jewels, with the walls that we built, and until the time ransomware attackers came in inside my house, inside my perimeter, and started creating havoc. Once you're attacked, you have only one way to go. How fast can you recover? If you can't recover fast, if you can't recover your data, if you can't get your data back, you have only one option: pay the ransom. Paying the ransom is interesting. For the first few years of ransomware attack, people were paying the ransom. And then you look at that data, you will find that is like trusting the thief who came into your house with the keys, that he will give you the right keys. Clearly something is
He
wrong.
hasn't left a footprint behind. So you
There
always leave a footprint.
There is an irony there, right? Do you trust the thief who came into your house that he will give you the keys to unlock the data? Clearly not. So there's only one way. And hence this whole cyber resilience concept saying, assume breach, assume there's going to be attack. Behind my perimeter, I'm still not safe. There will be attack. Let's be ready to recover the data, to be able to start my business operations, to Aditya's point earlier, business continuity planning, so that my crown jewels are not impacted. I can run my business tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that's a brilliant point, Abhilash. But Aditya, now do you think that we should double down on all cyber resilience measures, or we should stick to those traditional cyber security tools and technologies?
See, I think both should go in tandem. While it is very important that we continue to build walls, which will again be fortified with new kind of cements and probably titanium now. But still, we need to look at resilience in a very, very, I would say, a new perspective. So data encryption, looking at defense in depth. So is there a way I can make my systems resilient enough so that they come back quickly? If there's a cyber attack, and typically a cyber attacker could attack my storage where I have been keeping my data for a recovery, and then my whole strategy fails. So what do I do in such situations? So it is very important that I look at both resilience as well as my security. So I think they should go in tandem, and there have been instances in the past where attackers came, they found something, then somebody paid up, business started again there's an attack. So I think to Abhilash's point, this is what we need to really be very about, ensure that we have the right walls in place. Today firewalls, I don't know, maybe we need to build better firewalls, we need to have a better security lookout in place. So the moment a breach happens, how fast can I identify a breach? Where are my watchdogs? Am I adequately watching every nook and corner where there is a possibility of breach? What is my vulnerability assessment in terms of how do I do I do it in a periodic way? Do I do it once a year? Do I do it once in 6 months, once in 3 months? So that I am ready, and that's what I think is that breach posture that we talked about earlier. That one has to be ready to face an eventuality. COVID happened, we were not ready. But when the second wave came, we were ready. So I think that is what we really need to do, and that should be the way forward.
Yeah, so resilience and security go hand in hand basically. Now Abhilash, I would like to come to you. With a lot of AI coming in now, do you see there is an increase in number of such attacks?
AI is an interesting topic, right? The emergence of generative AI and the AI ML it's a double-edged sword in my mind, right? You create a tool that powerful, you can have that tool being used by both sides of the house. You have attackers now using AI to do very cutting-edge phishing attacks and malware attacks and mission-to-mission attacks and all that. There is no dearth. Our research, internal research, says there is no dearth of state-sponsored terrorism also targeting critical national infrastructure to get the data out of national infrastructure to be able to put the entire country to ransom, right? So those are the level of sophistication this is achieved. Now imagine in that era, if you do not prevent, or you are not resilient and you don't fight that battle with AI to defense, AI in defense, then it is like you fighting the gun battle with a bit of with rods and stones, right? You're not going to win that battle. My thought process here is AI is here to stay. It is going to mature. Machine to machine battles will be fought, and we got to be ready with our defenses. We just have to simply fight this fire with fire. We cannot use old traditional methods of prevention and resilience to fight the new age threat vectors that are available in the market.
Yeah. Now, even data issues and compliance are a hot button right now. So, how can organizations kind of safeguard their sensitive data but also keep it accessible for legitimate purposes? Maybe we can start with you, Aditya.
So I think sometimes, one of course is having the right security protocol in place, which means that my access rights, my whenever there is somebody who's looking at data, how does he see this data? What does he see in the total data pipeline? Is he reaching the right point at the right time? I think very important. Then making people aware that when did you last change your password? Simple things like this.
Yeah.
And I was in a group yesterday, and I asked a couple of people, when was it the last time you changed your Gmail password? Somebody said 5 years ago. Now this, so if this was to happen in a regular business situation, this is like harakiri. You're just committing yourself to, you're just watching your end come near, and we have to be very careful that we adopt. So training very important. Keeping yourself updated with the latest trends. How do you secure yourself? And of course, keeping yourself in touch with the ecosystem. So people around you, your industry, across industry forums, which present an excellent view of what is new, what is going on, how do we fight this together. And I think that is what is really going to help us create a situation where we all live peacefully, live with data, and use data for meaningful purpose.
Just to add a quick point to what Aditya said, and he made it very eloquently. Like, data is a new oil, right? Data is now spread across multiple places. In organizations, data is on-prem, data is at rest, data is moving, data is in cloud, public cloud, private cloud, multiple public clouds, and there's an explosion of data. Now, if you ask an organization today, across all your data sources, where is your sensitive data? Most of the organizations struggle. And it is not because they are not aware, or it's not because they're not doing the right thing. It's just the amount of data that organizations and businesses are creating has vastly increased the amount of control people can put on that data. It's just how. Exactly. So the number one thing that any organization needs to do before even protecting is to find out where my sensitive data is. Have I put my sensitive data in places where people can come and capture that? Have I put them in places where walls are not built? I build the wall across my house, but my sensitive data is in the little pit in the garden. Gone, right? So that is also another challenge that I see across.
I second Abhilash on that, because see, every data is sensitive for the organization today. It has value. So if I talk about Maruti, we have data in engineering, new product development. We have data of quality across models, across number of years that we have been using, looking at quality parameters. If I look at my production systems, one small data breach from an IoT device, which probably is talking to the cloud, can stop the machine, can stop the line. So, it's not so easy to say that this is my sensitive data and this is not my sensitive data, because everything that we deal with today has a level of sensitivity associated with it.
But there are now a lot of public and private regulations coming in on how we use data or how we store data. But do you still see any challenges when it comes to data protection?
There are a lot of challenges with data protection, and it has got to do with three things, right? Type of data, where the data resides, and what do you do with that data. Aditya raised a very good point about, for Maruti, everything is sensitive. Everything is patented, everything is business critical. That may not be the case with a another manufacturing organization that is producing some plastic buckets, right? Even though they use the same system. That may not be true with the banks. They undergo different regulations with RBI, etc. For other insurance agencies undergo IRDA regulations. Government agencies have their own regulations. So what do you do with the data is critical as how do you protect, because all these regulations have not only has created a framework as to how you should protect, but they don't get into what specific actions should you take. Another point that we discussed earlier is about data protection is not only about protecting data, it is also about recovery. What is the point in protecting anything if you can't recover quickly and correctly and use that recovery to run your business? There's no point in protecting that data. So they need to go hand in hand, and you cannot do that unless, to Aditya's point earlier, you test it regularly, you check it regularly. Your BCP process is so strong that I am assuming breach. I am doing not only a DR test, I am doing a ransomware test, I am doing a cyber test, I am doing an assessment that everything in my systems are down. I want to operate out of recovery. All those kinds of sequencing and testing is critical for us to be ready. Otherwise, you can do enough amount of investment in data protection, you will get this quasi feeling of being protected, but you have no idea where your recovery is good enough or not.
I just add a small point to Abhilash. I think while we were dealing with our own data in the past, now regulations have made customer data also very, very important, and it's just not about what you can use out of customer. You need to have his consent, and God forbid a situation comes when customer data is under critical ransomware, or it is being exposed to now malware. So there is a not only does it has onus on us, but also customers also can come back and say, yeah, I trusted you with my data, and now see there is a breach. So it becomes all the more onus on us that we need to do this more carefully, keep on assessing the ground, and keep seeing whether there is an opportunity, or there is an opportunity to really improve our resilience. Also keep a watch very, very strongly that where is it that a breach is about to occur, or somebody is trying to get in. I think the world is fast evolving.
Yeah, definitely. Now, do you see, we have talked so much about resilience and security. Do you see there is a need to change the mindset currently when it comes to resilience and security?
Yes, definitely. Actually, see, what is happening is, there are while there is a lot of learning that is coming in from the incidents that we are seeing now, there is definitely a change in mindset. But then, it's just not about being ready to accept that there is resilience required. There is also that how do I make myself more resilient? How do I build data practices that make my systems more resilient? Is it just about looking at a traditional way of storing data for where I can recover instantly? Where is my DR? Is there a way I can do a disaster recovery much faster? Are my systems resilient enough to work on backup systems? Is there a backup? Is there a backup of backup? How diligently are we doing this? Yeah. So I think education and training is becoming a very, very and then again using what is it that what kind of tools are available today? So is there a way I can make my organization more resilient? Yeah. And of course, it is just not about it's just not about having a separate group working on this. It has to be a CFT across groups. Infra teams, security team, application team, data teams, all working together, so that we are able to cover this in the right manner.
Basically, changing the mindset on how you can recover as well.
Yes.
Right? You want to add?
No, just great point made. Right. Everything in life in IT is about people, process, and technology. Yeah. Right. So there is mindset, and then there is headset. Right. So people, of course, there is some enablement training, but that doesn't solve the problem. I think with all the ransomware attacks around the world, everybody realizes there is a threat to your data. The question is, what next? So you got to be able to change your processes and move away from There needs to be a continuous process improvement plan to be able to resist these attacks, to be able to be resilient. We need to move away from traditional practices of DR, traditional practice of business continuity, saying, hey, listen, I will run my DR once in a year because it's for flood, it's for human error, it's for fire. No, your DR or your recovery should not be disaster recovery. Actually, disaster recovery should not exist. The only disaster we are facing today is cyber disaster. So it should be cyber recovery. So that's a process change, right? If you're able to recover from cyber attacks, you will be able to recover from disasters mostly. So that's the process side. On the technology side, technology has gone much faster in that area. Like traditional data protection and data backup, etc., used to focus on move the data fast, store the data cheap. That's because they were focused on traditional methods. Today, those data protection platforms have evolved to be able to look at cyber attacks, to be able to do cyber recovery, to be able to find out point of attack, blast radius, where can I recover back, how fast can you recover back, and how can you set a minimum viable organization faster. So that concept of minimum viable organization is coming. What is the minimum thing I need to run tomorrow morning if I'm attacked today? So those are some of the stuff that are coming up today that I think everybody is slowly warming up to put those processes and technology
Right.
platforms
It's
in place.
important for organizations now to assume breach posture than to wait for any ransomware attack to happen, right? So what advice would you like to give to CSOs, CIOs, or other IT decision makers when they are selecting their breach postures for cyber attack?
So I think, as I said, they'll have to really look at a few things. One, of course, is, as I said earlier, something called defense in depth, which means that how deep are my systems for resilience? Have I been doing the right thing? So something simple, as simple as, am I watching the emails that are coming into my system? Is there because these are the easy, ingresses into the system, and then they will find a way, and suddenly you will find that something has happened. Is there a way I have encrypted my data in the right manner? Is there have I really adopted a posture where I am able to see every time, or maybe as I said earlier, is there a watchdog available to see where am I right now? Is the organization aware that yes, there is a possibility of attack, and this is what I need to do in case there is a attack? Are we conducting any way mock audits to really to build that resilience, that people are ready, that if something happens, these are the 5 steps I need to take, and we'll be up and running. And I like that concept, what Abhilash mentioned, that what is the minimum viable organization that I need for next day morning, so that I can be up and running, and then somebody who's run that ransomware, he's just left wondering that did it ever affect the organization at all. So I think very importantly, organization should be looking at building the next, which will help them keep the environment secure, and also people fearless that yes, we are in an environment where if something goes wrong, we can come back.
Yeah, and also Abhilash, Rubrik works in this space. So what advice would you like to give to IT decision makers?
No, I think Aditya covered some really important points in here, right? I think the start of all this is to realize that there is cyber mayhem out there, right? If you live in a world where you think that I have invested a lot in my security, in my infrastructure security, perimeter security, and I'm safe, then you have to wake up. You have to wake up to the reality that the question is not if, the question is when. And that is happening across the world. You search ransomware attacks in Google, you'd see 5 attacks every day. Last year, large enterprise organizations had 52 ransomware attacks in 2023. So that is 1 attack every week, right? That's the level of sophistication that is happening outside. So the answer to this is you need to be aware. At board levels, at executives levels, as IT practitioners, our job is to go and make sure that everybody is aware that this is going to happen. And then, as Aditya said, we need to make sure we are securing our perimeter, and the whole perimeter security, infrastructure security, very important. You cannot forget that. But also assume breach and be ready for that bad day and be ready for your resilience strategy, have a clear cyber security strategy and a cyber resilience strategy. I think a lot of organizations focus too much on cyber security strategy, having focused on cyber resilience in the past. I think that needs to change. And the last point is the organizations need to come together. There are silo-based organizations still existing. CIO looks at infrastructure, CISO looks at security, and when it becomes data, everybody looks at each other. We need to get people come together to say data is your problem and my problem and our problem. So we got to be able to secure the data together.
Yeah, like he said, resilience and security goes in tandem, right? And also I love this term cyber mayhem. So while we are in the world of cyber mayhem, what trends do you see in the coming future in this space?
I think a couple of things we already touched upon. The big one that I see is the emergence of AI, ML, generative AI, and AI-driven attack vectors. I think that world is going to kind of kick up another notch, and we need to be ready to be able to defend machine-to-machine attacks and be able to defend augmented. Humans need to be augmented by machines to be able to fight that attack. That's a big threat that I'm seeing. The other thing that we are seeing is the threat intelligence, right? Our ability to gather the threat intelligence from various sources, not just dark web, needs to go higher. We need to be more proactive in gathering threat intelligence. We are investing with our partners across the globe, like for example Zscaler and Microsoft and Rubrik and all the other ecosystem providers. The prevention providers and the resilience providers are coming together to see what we can do to better our threat intelligence, to what we can give to our customers to be able to have better threat intelligence. Because reactive is one thing, but the more proactive you become, the more chances you have at surviving. But the reality is we only have to get it wrong once. They can try however times. We only have to get it wrong once. So we got to be vigilant, but I think the attack vectors and the kind of attacks that are going to happen are not going to stay stagnant. They are also going to be progressive.
So I think what Abhilash said again, it's not going to remain. So this situation is not like I'm ready today, and again when I wake up tomorrow, the world has changed. So it is something new that has come now. So I have to be ready again. So this with the ever evolving world of cyber threat, I think what is important is that how easily am I able to get back to my existing situation, how fast am I able to get back. I think that will define business resilience in future. So I think so if we keep our business processes simple, if we ensure that we are in a mode where we can get back without much delay, and also ensure that the people understand that yes, if there has been a breach, we will come back. So and we need to do these, as I said earlier, these 5 things to ensure that I'm back and I'm up and running again.
Yeah, like he said, proactive before being reactive.
Yes.
Right. All right. That was a wonderful conversation, gentlemen. But before we wrap up, I would like to know from each one of you just one sentence, very briefly, on this whole conversation, your sum up.
Well, I think a very interesting conversation and very future looking, I think need of the hour.
Great conversation. Great to have Aditya with us, one of the great minds of our industry. And this is a conversation we need to have. We need to have more internally, externally, everywhere. We should shout from our rooftops to say this is coming.
All right. Thank you so much for joining in today. And to our viewers, remain secure, remain vigilant, and until next time, keep your firewalls fortified and passwords strong. This was Himanshi Tiwari signing off.